K9P.
We're just going to go straight to the scripture readings today. And it's Chayyei Sarah, Bereshit, or Genesis 23:1 is our start point. Well, I mean, we can still read the portions. Yeah, it's I mean, there are these here, so I'll start with the Kohen portions. We'll just kind of go around if that's okay. All right. So before I get started, going for the blessing. Open my eyes so I will see wonders from your Torah. I'm a ger on the earth. Hide not your mitzvot from me. The blessing. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bakar banu makol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Blessed are you, Adonai our Elohim, King of the universe, who has chosen us from all peoples to give us his Torah. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of the Torah. Amen. And so this is Chayyei Sarah is the name of the portion. Vayehu Chayyei Sarah me'ah shana yesrim shana v'shava shanim shnei Chayyei Sarah. In English, something like Sarah's lifetime was 100 years, 20 years, and 7 years, the years of Sarah's life. All right, so the Kohen portion is from the sheet, and 23:1 is the start point, and it goes from 23:1 to 23:16. Sarah lived to be 127 years old. These were the years of Sarah's life. Sarah died in Kiryat Arba, also known as Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn Sarah and weep for her. And he got up from his dead one and said to the sons of Het, I am a foreigner living as an alien with you. Let me have a burial site with you so I can bury my dead wife. The sons of Het answered Abraham, listen to us, my lord. You are a prince of God among us. So choose any of our tombs to bury your dead. Not one of us would refuse you his tomb for burying your dead. Abraham got up, bowed before the people of the land, the sons of Het, and spoke with them. If it is your desire to help me bury my dead, then listen to me. Ask Ephron, the son of Zochar, to give me the cave of Machpelah, which he owns, the one at the end of his field. He should sell it to me in your in your presence, right, at its full value. Then I will have a burial site of my own. Ephron the Hittite was sitting among the sons of Het, and he gave Abraham his answer in the presence of the sons of Het, who belonged to the ruling council of the city. No, my lord, listen to me. I'm giving you the field with its cave. I'm giving it to you in the presence of my people. I give it to you. Abraham bowed before the people of the land and spoke to Ephron in their hearing. Please be good enough to listen to me. I will pay the price of the field. Accept it from me, and I will bury my dead there. But Ephron answered Abraham, my lord, listen to me. A plot of land worth 4,000 silver shekels. What is that between you and me? Just bury your dead. Excuse me. Abraham got the point of what Ephron had said, so he weighed out for Ephron the amount of money that he had specified in the presence of the sons of Het, 400 silver shekels of the weight accepted among the merchants, 10 pounds. All right. Jen, if you pick up at the Levite portion of 23:17.
Thus Ephraim's field at Machpelah facing Mamre, the field and the cave in it, and all the trees anywhere within the boundaries of the field, passed into Abraham's possession in the sight of the Hittites, of all the inhabitants of this town. And after this, Abram buried his wife Sarah in the cave of the field of Machpelah facing Mamre, now Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And so the field and the cave in it passed from the Hittites into Abram's possessions as a burial site for his own. By now Abram was an old man, well on in years, and Yahweh had blessed Abram, in every way. Abram said to the senior servant in his household, the steward of all his property, place your hand under my thigh. I am going to make you swear by Yahweh, God of heaven and God of earth, that you will not choose a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I live, but will go to my native land and my own kinsfolk to choose a wife for my son Isaac. The servant asked him, what if the girl does not want to follow me to this country? Should I then take your son back to the country from which you came? Abram replied, on no account are you to take my son back there. Yahweh, God of heaven and God of earth, who took me from my father's home and from the land of my kinfolk, and who promised me on oath, I shall give this country to your descendants. He will now send his angel ahead of you, so that you can get a wife for my son from there. If then the girl refuses to follow you, you will be quit of this oath to me. Only do not take my son back there. And the servant placed his hand under the thigh of his master Abram, and swore to him that he would do it.
Then the servant took 10 of his master's camels and all kinds of gifts from his master, got up and went to Aram Naharaim, to Nahor's city. Toward evening, when the women go out to draw water, he had the camels kneel down outside the city by the well. He said, Adonai, Elohim of my master Abraham, please let me succeed today and show your grace to my master Abraham. Here I am, standing by the spring as the daughters of the townsfolk come out to draw water. I will say to one of the girls, please lower your jug so that I can drink. If she answers, yes, drink, and I will water your camels as well, then let her be the one that you intend for your servant Yitzhak. This is how I will know that you have shown grace to my master. Before he had finished speaking, Rivkah, the daughter of Bethuel, son of Milcah, and the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her jug on her shoulder. The girl was very beautiful, a virgin, never having had sexual relations with any man. She went down to the spring, filled up her jug, and came up. The servant ran to meet her and said, please give me a sip of water from your jug to drink. Drink, my master, she replied, and immediately lowered her jug onto her arm and let him drink. When she was through letting him drink, she said, I will also draw water for your camels until they have drunk their fill. She quickly emptied her jug into the trough, then ran again to the well to draw water, and kept on drawing water for all his camels. The man gazed at her in silence, waiting to find out whether Adonai had made his trip successful or not. When the camels were done drinking, the man took a gold nose ring weighing 1/5 of an ounce and 2 gold bracelets weighing 4 ounces, and asked, whose daughter are you? Tell me, please, is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night? She answered, I am the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Milcah, born to Nahor, adding, we have plenty of straw and fodder and room for staying overnight. The man bowed his head and prostrated himself before Adonai. Then he said, blessed be Adonai, Elohim of my master Abraham, who has not abandoned his faithful love for my master, because Adonai has guided me to the house of my master's kinsman. The girl ran off and told her mother's household what had happened. Rivkah had a brother named Lavan. When he saw the nose ring and the bracelets on his sister's wrists besides, and when he heard his sister Rivkah's report of what the man had said to her, he ran out to the spring and found the man standing there by the camels. Come in, he said, you whom Adonai has blessed. Why are you standing outside when I have made room in the house and prepared a place for the camels?" So the man went inside, and while the camels were being unloaded and provided straw and fodder, water was brought for him to wash his feet and the feet of the men with him. But when a meal was set before him, he said, "I won't eat until I say what I have to say." Laban said, "Speak." And he said, "I am Abraham's servant. Adonai has greatly blessed my master so that he has grown wealthy. He has given him flocks and herds, silver and gold, male and female servants, camels and donkeys. Sarah, my master's wife, bore my master a son when she was old, and he has given him everything he has. My master made me swear, saying, 'You are not to choose a wife for my son from among the women of Canaanites among whom I live. Rather, you are to go to my father's house, to my kinsmen, to choose a wife for my son.' I said to my master, 'Suppose the woman isn't willing to follow me.' Abraham answered me, 'Adonai, in whose presence I live, will send his angel with you to make your trip successful, and you are to pick a wife for my son from my kinsmen in my father's house. This will release you from your obligation under my oath. But if, when you come to my kinsmen, they refuse to give her to you, this too will release you from my oath.' So today I came to the spring and said, 'Adonai, Elohim of my master Abraham, if you are causing my trip to succeed in its purpose, then here I am, standing by the spring. I will say to one of the girls coming out to draw water, "Let me have a sip of water from your jug." If she answers, "Yes, drink, and I will water your camels as well," then let her be the woman you intend for my master's son.' And even before I finished speaking to my heart, there came Rivkah, going out with her jug on her shoulder. She went down to the spring and drew water. When I said to her, 'Please let me have a drink,' she immediately lowered the jug from her shoulder and said, 'Drink, and I will water your camels as well.' So I drank, and she had the camels drink too. I asked her, 'Whose daughter are you?' And she answered, 'The daughter of Bethuel, son of Nechor, whom Milcah bore to him.' Then I put the ring on her nose and the bracelets on her wrists, bowed my head and prostrated myself before Adonai, the blessed Adonai, Elohim of my master Abraham, for having led me in the right way to obtain my master's brother's daughter for his son. So now, if you people intend to show grace and truth to my master, tell me. But if not, tell me, so that I can turn elsewhere." Laban and Bethuel replied, "Since this comes from Adonai, we can't say anything to you, either bad or good. Rivkah is here in front of you. Take her and go. Let her be your master's son's wife, as Adonai has said." When Abraham's servant heard what they said, he prostrated himself on the ground to Adonai.
Then the servant brought out silver and gold jewelry together with clothing and gave them to Rivkah. He also gave valuable gifts to her brother and mother. He and his men then ate and drank and stayed the night. In the morning they got up, and he said, "Send me off to my master." Her brother and mother said, "Let the girl stay with us a few days, at least 10. After that, she will go." He answered them, "Don't delay me, since Adonai has made my trip successful. Let me go back to my master." They said, "We will call the girl and see what she says." They called Rivkah and asked her, "Will you go with this man?" And she replied, "I will." So they sent their sister Rivkah away with her nurse, Abraham's servant, and his men. They blessed Rivkah with these words, "Our sister, may you be the mother of millions, and may your descendants possess the cities of those who hate them." Then Rivkah and her maids mounted the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Rivkah and went on his way. Meanwhile, Yitzhak, one evening after coming along the road from Be'er Lachairoi, was living in the desert. He went out walking in the field, and as he looked up, he saw camels approaching. Rivkah too looked up, and when she saw Yitzhak, she quickly dismounted the camel. She said to the servant, "Who is this man walking in the field to meet us?" When the servant replied, "It's my master," she took her veil and covered herself. The servant told Yitzhak everything he had done. And then Yitzhak brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rivkah, and she became his wife. and he loved her. Thus was Yitzhak comforted for the loss of his mother.
Abram married another wife whose name was Keturah, and she bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Midian, Ishbak, and Shuham. Jokshan was the father of Sheba and Dedan, and the descendants of Dedan were the Asherites, the Letushim and the Lehumim. Sorry, I'm butchering these. The descendants of Midian were Ephah, Epher, Anak, Abidah, and Eldah. All of these were sons of Keturah. Abram left all his possessions to Isaac. To the sons of his concubines, Abram made grants during his lifetime, sending them away from his son Isaac eastward to the land of the east. The number of years Abram lived was 175. When Abram had breathed his last, dying at a happy, ripe age, old and full of years, he was gathered to his people. His sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah facing Mamre, in the field of Ephraim the Hittite, son of Zahor. This was the field that Abram had bought from the Hittites, and Abram and his wife Sarah were buried there. After Abram's death, God blessed his son Isaac. Isaac settled near the well of Laharon.
Here is the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar, the Egyptian woman, bore to Abraham. These are the names of the sons of Ishmael, listed in the order of their birth. The firstborn of Ishmael was Nebaioth, followed by Kedar, Abiel, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadad, Tema, Yetur, Nephish, and Kedma. These are the sons of Ishmael, and these are their names according to their settlements and camps, 12 tribal rulers. This is how long Ishmael lived, 137 years. Then he breathed his last, died, and was gathered to his people. Ishmael's son lived between Havilah and Shur, near Egypt. As you go toward Ashur, he settled near all his kinsmen.
Loftier. These are the names of Ishmael, and these are their names according to their settlements and camps, 12 tribal rulers. This is how Ishmael lived. This is how long Ishmael lived, 137 years. He breathed his last, died, and was gathered to his people. Ishmael's sons lived between Havilah and Shur near Egypt as you go toward Ashur. He settled near all his kinsmen. Starting with the blessing after the Torah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'gei olam nata b'tochenu. Blessed are you, Adonai our Elohim, King of the universe, who has given us the Torah of truth, the planet everlasting life in our midst. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of the Torah. So our Haftorah today is from 1 Kings, chapter 1. Join for the blessing for reading the Haftorah. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bakar b'nevi'im tovim v'ratza devrahim hamarim v'amet. Blessed are you, Adonai our Elohim, King of the universe, who has chosen good prophets and was pleased with the words they spoke in truth. Baruch atah Adonai habaker b'Torah of Moshe, Abdo of Israel, Amo u'nevi'eh ha'amet v'tzedek. Blessed are you, Adonai, who chose Torah, Moshe, the servant of Israel, his people, and prophets of the truth and righteousness. 1 Kings chapter 1, beginning at verse 1. King David grew old. The years took their toll, and he couldn't get warm even when they covered him with bedclothes. His servants said to him, "Let us try to find a young virgin for my lord the king. She can wait on the king and be a companion for him, and she can lie next to him, or next to you." so that my lord the king will get some heat. After looking through all of Israel's territory for a beautiful girl, they found Avisag the Shunammite and brought her to the king. The girl was very beautiful and became a companion for the king. She took care of him, but the king did not have sexual relations with her. Adoniah, the son of Haggith, was beginning to claim that he would be king. So, to this end, he organized chariots and horsemen with 50 men to run ahead of him. His father had never in life confronted him by asking, "Why are you behaving this way?" Moreover, he was a very handsome man. He was born next after Avshalom. He conferred with Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and Eviatar, the Kohen, and they both supported Adoniah. But Zadok the Kohen, Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, Natan the prophet, Shimei, Rei, and David's elite guard were not on Adoniah's side. One day, Adoniah killed sheep, oxen, and fattened calves at the stone of Zohelet by Ein Rogel. He summoned all his brothers, the king's sons, and all the men of Yehuda, the king's servants, but did not summon Natan the prophet, Benaiah, the elite guard, or Shlomo, his brother. Natan went to Bathsheba, the mother of Shlomo, and said, "Haven't you heard that Adoniah, the son of Haggith, has become king without the knowledge of David, our Lord? Now, come, please let me give you advice so that you can save both your own life and that of your son Shlomo. Get in to see King David and say to him, 'My lord king, didn't you swear to your servant, your son Shlomo will be king after me? He will sit on my throne. So why is Adoniah king?' Right then, while they were still talking with the king, I will also come in after you and confirm what you are saying." Bathsheba went into the king in his room. The king was very old. Avisag the Shunammite was in attendance on the king. Bathsheba bowed, prostrating herself to the king. The king asked, "What do you want?" She answered him, "My lord, you swore by Adonai, your God, to your servant, 'Your son Shlomo will be king after me. He will sit on my throne.' But now, here's Adoniah ruling as king, and you, my lord, the king, don't know anything about it. He has killed oxen, fattened calves, and sheep in great numbers, and has summoned all the sons of the king, Eviatar, the Kohen, and Joab, the commander of the army. But he didn't summon Shlomo, your servant. As for you, my lord, the king, all Israel is watching you. They are waiting for you to tell them who's to sit on the throne of my lord, the king, after him. If you don't, then when my lord the king sleeps with his ancestors, I and my son Shlomo will be considered criminals." Right then, while she was still talking with the king, Natan the prophet entered. They told the king, "Natan the prophet is here." Excuse me. After coming into the king's presence, he prostrated himself before the king with his face to the ground. Natan said, "My lord king, did you say Adoniah is to be king after me? He will sit on my throne? For he has gone down today and killed oxen, fattened calves, and sheep in great numbers. And he has summoned all the king's sons, the commanders of the army, and Eviatar the Kohen. Right now they are eating and drinking in his presence, proclaiming, 'Long live King Adoniah.' But he didn't summon me, your servant, or Zadok the Kohen, or Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, or your servant Shlomo. Is this authorized by my lord the king without your having told your servant who would sit on the throne of my lord the king after him?" King David answered by saying, "Summon Bathsheba to me." She entered the king's presence and stood before the king. The king swore an oath, "As Adonai lives, who has delivered me from all adversity, as I swore to you by Adonai, the God of Israel, your son Shlomo will be king after me. He will sit on my throne in my place. So will I do today." Bathsheba bowed with her face to the ground, prostrating herself to the king, and said, "Let my lord King David live forever." Thus ends the Haftorah. Our gospel reading today is from Yochanan or John chapter 4, beginning at verse 3. And it's verses 3 through 14. All right, if you join me for the blessing before reading the Ketuvim Netzarim. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu et Torah Yeshua v'Mashiach Yeshua v'tzifrei Ketuvim Netzarim l'kal ha'amin. Blessed are you, Adonai our Elohim, King of the universe, who has given us the way of salvation, Messiah Yeshua, and books and Nazarene writings to all peoples. Baruch atah Adonai noten Yeshua HaMashiach. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of salvation in Yeshua, Messiah. Chapter 4, beginning at verse 3 of the book of Yochanan. Yeshua left Yehuda and set out again for the Galil. This meant they had to pass through Shomron. He came to a town in Shomron called Shechem, near the field Yaakov had given his son Yosef. Yaakov's well was there, so Yeshua, exhausted from his travels, sat down by the well. It was about noon. A woman from Shomron came to draw some water, and Yeshua said to her, "Give me a drink of water." His Talmudim had gone into town to buy food. The woman from Shomron said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask for water from me, a woman of Shomron? For Jews don't associate with people from Shomron." Yeshua answered her, "If you knew God's gift, that is, who it is saying to you, 'Give me a drink of water,' then you would have asked him, and he would have given you living water." She said to him, "Sir, you don't have a bucket, and this well is deep. Where do you get this living water? You aren't greater than our father Yaakov, are you? He gave us this well and drank from it, and so did his sons and his cattle." Yeshua answered, Everyone who drinks this water will get thirsty again. Whoever drinks the water I will give him will never be thirsty again. On the contrary, the water I give him will become a spring of water inside him, welling up into eternal life." Thus ends our readings for the day, bringing the time for our fun challenge Q&A. And there are only 7 questions today, so you guys get off easy. Question number 1. How do you translate this?
That is Sarah.
Chayyei Sarah, that is correct. Live or lives of Sarah. There's different translations that read it a little bit differently. It looks like it's technically lives, plural, of Sarah, but typically translated as life of Sarah.
I suppose we might ask some translations, the lives of Sarah.
Yeah, it seems to literally be lives of. And there's some we'll talk about it in the midrash. There's some discussion about what the meaning of that in that sense is. Question number 2. So that's 1 for Denver. Question number 2.
Let's go.
To whom and how much did Abraham pay for the cave of Machpelah in order to bury Sarah?
The full price.
Full price is correct.
And it was 400 shekels.
400 silver shekels, and paid to who?
One of the Hittite guys.
Yes, that's correct so far.
Don't
It's not
remember his
precise.
name.
It's Ephron the Hittite. I've seen some people read it as if it's Ephraim the Hittite, but that's not quite right. Question number 3. What was Rivka's brother's name? He's famous.
So it has to be Lavan.
That is correct. Next question is about him, so no further discussion on this, please. Question number 4. What is the likely meaning of Lavan's name?
I ever heard anything like that. Is it a Hebrew name?
It's a Semitic name,
Semitic.
and I'm saying it from the Hebrew perspective, what word it is. I mean, it would be the same way in Aramaic as well. And that is whitey. Levon is to be white or white. It's the root word also of the country of Lebanon.
The word of the country of Lebanon means white.
Yep. Question number 5. What was a blessing given to Rebekah before she parted with Abraham's servant?
May you have a gazillion children.
Yeah. It's
May they possess the gates of your enemies.
that is correct. The Jewish Bible reads as millions, but it's really
Gazillion is the correct
it's
word.
thousands of 10,000s is typically how it is. Alfei Ravah. So it's from the word Ravah, a great number, and it's typically this is a pretty literal translation, thousands of 10,000s. So, which is another way of saying an uncountable number. You have no other euphemism, I think, the same way of as many as the sands of the sea. But the difference of this one is that you will possess the gate of those who hate them or your enemies or your opponents in that sense. So it also could say that it's not really a blessing part of it, but it is true that there will be people who hate your descendants. That's the given part of this blessing. Question number 6. It's from our Kedolim Netzarim reading. It's fill in the blanks. Yeshua answered, everyone who drinks this water will get thirsty again, but whoever drinks the water I'll give him will never be thirsty again. On the contrary, the water I give him will become a spring of water inside him, welling up into blank blank.
Living water.
No. The living water is the
Something springs.
no. The living water wells up into something else. So it's kind of another way of saying it would be of living water springing up inside him, welling up into eternal life. And finally, the question you've all been waiting for is vehicle identification. This type of Israeli tank was made in the U.S. and named after an American general. Pictures from the Golan Heights in 1967. What type of tank is this?
Is it a Sherman?
It is a Sherman tank. That is correct. Good job.
The giveaway there. Well, no, they're all named for generals, aren't they? All tank types.
Pretty much. For example, Abrams is the Abram tank is named after General Abram. There's Lee's, Grant's. Pershing was not a general, or was a. Well, I'm sorry. It was yes, he was a general. I was thinking for some reason I was thinking presidents at one time, but it's because of Grant. But it's not the case. Lee, Grant, Pershing were all generals types of tank. Patton was a kind of succeeded some of these later on before the M47s are Patton tanks. And I think M48s are also called Patton sometimes as well. All right, good job. So, 20 years after the end of World War II, this tank was still in service against or in Israeli service.
For what we see now, 20 years really isn't very long.
It was by 1967. This tank was way outdated.
Equipment-wise, maybe.
We have airplanes that stay in service longer than that.
Yeah, that's true. Tanks seem I think it's harder to keep them up, maybe, but they did upgrade the guns from the World War II era Shermans, first 90s, and then even some 105s and the so-called Super Shermans.
Tanks probably take way more of a beating than aircraft.
I don't know, maybe, but it is very true. I mean, B-52 has been in service for a long time, maybe 50 years, closing in on that. All right, so we're now to our blessing before we enjoy some food. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shekol niyeh bidvaro. Blessed are you, Adonai our Elohim, King of the universe, who creates all things through his word. Amen. guess my link didn't do quite good. I don't know.
Let kids go first.
Yeah, we want the kids to go first. Well, Cece answered one of the fun challenge questions.
Which one did she answer?
The one about Ephron the Hittite, purchasing the field and food. So we're going to close the broadcast and get ready again for what we do after we eat. Do the midrash.
Don't forget to tell them to send in your donations.